What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. It's Ars. Let's get productive. So this week I'm going to be talking about a new VST that comes from Native Instruments. It's a part of their Play Series instruments, and it's called Duets. Now, I really enjoy Native Instruments Play Series instruments because they give you a little bit of flavor from all types of different genres. And when it comes to the instrument itself, it really sounds like something authentic to that genre of music or whatever style they're going for. It's very authentic sounding, and they have a lot of really creative sounds. They usually have two different sound engines, and in each of those sound engines, you can combine sounds to kind of create your own thing. Now, the name of this VST is Duets, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a VST that's based on vocal chops and vocal samples. I know there's a lot of that out there already, but sometimes it's not about how many VSTs are in that lane. Sometimes it's just about what is the new thing that you're bringing to that lane. And the new thing that I think Native Instruments is bringing to that lane is nuance. The sounds inside of this thing are really creative and really cool sounding. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. Native Instruments, Duets, let's see what this thing is all about. So, as always, I have Logic queued up, and this is Duets. Now, like I said, it's a part of their Play Series group of instruments, so the theme of it is definitely going to look very familiar. All of their Play Series instruments have really cool looking UIs. It kind of looks like just a very graphic, graffiti type image right in the center of the UI, but then on each side of that image, they have an A sound engine and a B sound engine, and you can combine different sounds to make your own sounds, which is also very cool. Now, it's a Contact instrument, and Duets is going to work with the latest version of Contact 7, so you're going to want to make that upgrade so that you can use Duets, but it works with the free version of Contact. But yeah, this is the UI, and the UI is really clean. Like all of their Play Series instruments, you have that main image right here in the center. Down here at the bottom, you got your knobs, and this one in particular has a really nice pastel kind of hue to it. It has a greenish hue. I like what they have here with the old-fashioned synthesizers. And then this right here, even though they're knobs, this kind of gives me like a Vegas sign kind of look. It seems like they took all the classic imagery of different instruments that you've used from the past, retro instruments and all of that, and combined it to make a sign that looks kind of like a retro Las Vegas kind of sign. And I like that. Really creative, really dope. Now, if we dive right into what's happening in the Play Series category, it's not anything too different from other Play Series instruments. So if you have any Play Series instruments, it's going to be a lot of the same as far as effects, and what it can do is pretty much the same thing. Down here at the bottom, you have your global effects. You have your balance knob here. That's going to take you between your A sound engine and your B sound engine. You have your cutoff knob down here, your saturation. And in this instrument in particular, you have a choral knob here, which is going to give you an interesting effect. And we'll play around with that in a little bit when we browse through some of the sounds. You have a reverb knob down here. You have a delay knob, and you have your source knob, which is going to add a little extra spice to any one of your sounds. Over here on the right side, next to volume, you have a randomizer button. Now, if you come up here at the top and you click sound, this is where you can dive into the individual sound engines. You have engine A, and you have your layers, your transpose, your filter section over here, your LFOs and your modulations. And in section B, you have the same thing. Now, like I said, if you have a Play Series instrument, you're probably already familiar with all of this. I'm just trying to do a quick run through for anyone that hasn't really purchased any Play Series instruments. This is basically what it's all about. Now, right over here, between the A and the B sound engine slots, you have this little chain right here, and this is going to link the effects together. So anything you do over here with layer A is going to take effect on layer B. Now, if you unlink the two sound engines, you can make individual changes to each of those sound engines. So right over here where it says transpose, if I was to turn this knob up and over to the right on engine B, if I go up to engine A, you'll notice that it's right back here at the center, and it didn't change anything. So you would turn this link on over here to make adjustments to both effects at the same time, and you can turn that link off to make individual changes to each of those sound engines. So that's really cool. If you come over up here to the top, you go over to effects. This is where you're going to have your effects. You have a limiter, you have a replica, a reverb, choral. You can make adjustments to that effect just by clicking on the down arrow right here, and you can make changes to those effects. So you can change it from the choral effect to a lo-fi effect. You can make all kinds of individual adjustments. If you come back up here at the top, you have your sequencer section, and this is where you can mess around with the macros. This is also where you can get some really interesting arpeggiated effects to the sounds that are on the side of this thing. So if you notice, when you go to the effects section, if you look over here on the left side, you have EQ-A and you have EQ-B. So each of these are separated for each of the sound engines, and you can make different changes via the effects for each of these sound engines. But yeah, really simple, really straightforward. That's what you get when you're dealing with a Play Series instrument. All of the Play Series instruments are set up in that way. So things don't really vary too much in regards to the effects and the layout. Where things really start to shine with this instrument is in its sound design. And in the sound department, you have some really great, really lush sounding vocal chops and pad synths. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna jump right into some of the presets in this thing, and I'm also gonna mess around with a little bit of sound design and show you how you can kind of make changes to each of the sound layers to kind of come up with your own presets as well. You come right up here at the top where it says Success Street, you can click that down arrow and you can go through everything from keys to leads to pads to plucks. You have a riff and run section, which is really cool. We're gonna go into that in a little bit as well. You have a sequence section and you have your synth section. Now, I was a little disappointed they didn't have a bass category, because for the sake of this video, I made a beat so that I could play at the end of the video for you guys to listen to. And I had to go to another instrument when it came time to lay down the bass, just because I wanted something a little bit subby. Now, obviously, you can go to a synths category, you can click a synth, and you can just go to a lower octave in your keyboard and just make that sound bassy. But I wanted a specific bass sound that just sounded like it was dedicated for a bass. And they didn't really have that in the sounds category. So it is missing that. But other than that, it kind of has everything you need. Like I said, keys, leads, plucks, pads, riffs and runs, all of these different sound categories that are created combining live synth sounds and vocal chops and riffs and runs. So let's dive into these presets and see what it's all about. Now we're going to start off in keys, and we're going to just go through some of the keys and hear what it sounds like. And what I can do is I'm gonna go over the rip chords so I can turn these really quickly into chords so you can hear what they sound like as chords. Really smooth sounding. I love the sound of these keys. And as you can hear in that sound right there, this is what I'm talking about when I say the sounds are very nuanced inside of this thing. There's so much character in these sounds. There's so much effect and just weird bends and twists in a lot of these sounds that the presets alone give you what you need to really create some really interesting things out of the VST. But the fact that you can like make changes to the sounds by making changes to the individual sound layers, and you can kind of make your own presets is just, it takes it to a whole nother level. So for instance, you have this sound right here. And if I was to mute layer B, this is what the sound randoms in layer A sounds like. Or I can mute layer A and just leave layer B. Now, personally, I really like that sound. It says additive mix. I like that sound in layer B. So if I wanted to, I could just go over to layer A and just change the sound. Just go through the sounds in layer A and find something that blends well with layer B. I can actually click on layer A, or I can just press the forward arrow, or I can click on the magnifying glass and just kind of search what I'm looking for. But I'm gonna just click the forward arrow and go through some sounds and see what I think sounds cool with layer B. balance right here, and I'm gonna make it lean a little more towards layer A so that layer B can just be a little subtle in the background. Play with the cutoff a little bit. And I can go down to layer B and mess with the cutoff for that sound specifically. And just like that, you can kind of create your own sound. But we're gonna keep moving forward through these presets and check out some more sounds. This is perfect for an R&B hit. Right here, this is a perfect sound for R&B music. I just like the quality of the sounds in this thing. That sound is bionic. And I think it's really cool that even though they've combined vocal chops and vocal samples in this thing with different synths, it doesn't sound obvious. They really combine vocal samples to give you sounds that sound like they belong in the categories that they're in. So the keys, you barely even hear vocal samples in them. Like, they sound like keys, but there's a combination of both going on inside of this thing. And I think that's really cool. That's really cool. Now we could go to riffs and runs. I want to check this one out because there's some interesting things happening in the riff and runs category. Now, if you look at your Kontakt player, you'll notice down here at the bottom, they have the riffs separated from the runs. So over here on the you have your riffs, and over here on the right, you have your runs, and you can kind of play them together. And create some really cool effects that way, and they have a bunch of presets already loaded up for you.
You did, want you to love.
So I think that's a really cool category to have inside of this thing, a whole riffs and runs category. Really, really dope. So that's really cool. Go to another part of this. Really dope to have a sequence section that really gives you creative sequences and not just your typical arpeggiated up and down type of thing. So really cool stuff. So what I want to do right now is I want to get right into the cookup. I want to show you guys a beat that I put together using Duets. Now, every sound that you hear inside of this thing comes from the Duets Play Series instrument. The only sounds that are in this beat that did not come from Duets was the bass sound and the drums. Let's check this thing out. that's it. That's the beat I made using Duets. Now, like I said, I have a lot of Play Series instruments. I don't always bring them to the channel, not because there's anything wrong with them, but just because there's so many that if you're like a native instruments head and you use Contact, you probably don't even need to watch a review on Play Series. That's probably some of the main instruments that you use from native instruments. So I don't bring them to the channel all the time because there's so many out there and there's a lot of different channels that talk about them. You don't need another one talking about them. But this one I wanted to bring to the channel because I feel like it might kind of get overshadowed by the fact that it is a Play Series instrument. Some people might go like, okay, there's another one. I'll check that out whenever I get to it. But I really do think that this is one of those Play Series instruments that you should be checking out. There's a lot of nuance in this thing. There's a lot of really interesting and creative sounds inside of this thing. And even though there's a lot of really cool Play Series instruments ecosystem, and you're trying to figure out which Play Series instruments you're gonna go with first, I think this is definitely one of the Play Series instruments that you should be checking out right off the bat, because this is going to give you a lot of what you need to create some really cool things. I'm really digging Duets, but let me know what you guys think. Is this something that you could see yourself adding to your arsenal? As always, if there's any new VSTs or plugins that you'd like to see me bring to the channel, leave it down in the comment section below. I'll get to it as soon as I can. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you can stay notified anytime I drop a new video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.